Okay, so we're live on YouTube, and now I'm going to start the Zoom webinar. So good luck, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the e-Residency monthly webinar. We've opened it up a couple of minutes late, and it's nice to see, sorry, a couple of minutes early, and it's nice to see that people are already joining. Arjun, you are a regular customer. I know your name now, so welcome back. Hi, everyone. If you would like to start introducing yourselves in the chat, as Arjun and Fabrice have done already, let us know where you're located at the moment. Are you an e-resident? Have you started a company in Estonia yet, or are you thinking about it? What's your reason for being here? And we'll get started with the presentation and with the Q&A in just a couple of minutes.
Ooh, someone got their card today. Congratulations.
Make sure you take a photo and tag us on social media. Hello, Veiko. Nice to see a fellow neighbor over here from Finland. Ooh, quite a few people seem to already have their cards, so really nice to see that there are a lot of e-residents here already and a few non-e-residents who maybe we can change your mind to become an e-resident today. So please continue networking and chatting in the chat. The Q&A tab, which you also will see down the bottom of the screen, is where you can ask your questions. So you can already start asking those. We have a colleague, Katrina, who will be answering questions in writing, because always in these webinars, there's too many questions for us to be answering live. And I think without further ado, we can get started. So I'm going to share some slides. Start at the beginning. It's probably a good idea. That's good. Okay, so hello, everyone. Welcome to the live Q&A with the e-Residency team and also our special guest experts from Silver Hunt. Today, my face and Brigitta's are not coming up. These are the speakers today. So I'm Hannah. I'm head of content at e-Residency.
Hello, I'm Brigitta. I'm also from e-Residency and I do social media.
And we're going to let Kaspar and Kati from Silver Hunt introduce themselves. Kaspar, take it away.
Thank you. So you made it nice and sweet, but obviously you have been doing this monthly. Everybody knows who you are already. So I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce myself first, and then Kati will introduce herself, and then we go over what Silva Hunt is doing and who we are. So from my side, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Silva Hunt. I have been actively in sales for more than 10 years, been CEO in a virtual reality company before I joined as a CEO of Silva Hunt. And maybe as a hobby, I would say I'm also an ice hockey player. So that's about me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kati Miller, and I'm the Chief Compliance Officer at Silva Hunt. Previously, or still actually, I am a corporate lawyer as well. I have about 15 years of experience advising companies in business law and everything related to what a company needs. Besides that, for the last 3.5 years, I was actually a compliance manager in a crypto company, and we successfully obtained a new license. If you are in the crypto field, you may know that there has been changes in the regulation. So the company that I worked for previously obtained the new license. So I have experience in crypto field as well. Besides this, I'm also a lecturer at Estonian Business School, and I teach entrepreneurship in a bachelor program called Impactful Entrepreneurship and as well business law. My background is also from KPMG, from audit company, so I have been involved with auditors as well. So quite a wide range of different specialities from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. So talking about Silva Hunt, we started the company more than 5 years ago, and we started with 4 co-founders. 3 of them were an NGO members that specializes in leadership improvements. Actually, a funny story. We are also with Kati in the same NGO organization. That's where we started our cooperation as well. And we started with accounting and law consultations. But after that, we have expanded our services. But what has never changed is that we are creating a network of entrepreneurs with whom we want to meet at an eye level, with whom we have been meeting at least twice a year to bring our questions, problems on the table in our mastermind events, where new companies are also established and new partnerships forged. So we have been doing that since the beginning, and from services side, besides the accounting and law consultations, we are also offering international tax consultations. We're recruiting employees for your company in Estonia. One of the important reasons why customers tend to do it is to build their substance and bring their business activities more active to Estonia. And also we're offering investment opportunities in our own network, and also promoting investment opportunities in Estonia and wider. And our customers are investing quite a bit, and I truly believe that everybody should invest. So why not do it in Estonia, where the tax system is really good? On the slide, you can see that we are specializing on complex holding structures, including several shareholders. Tailor-made business services means that besides the fact that Estonia is 99% online and really low bureaucracy, we want to be the partner for you to help you cut through the red tape and build your business. And we are knowingly and intentively not automating everything. We want to keep this human touch with our customers and interact with them directly. Business network, mentioned the mastermind event already. The next one is 2nd of August in Estonia. You can write it as your business expense, and you are invited to contact us to talk about it further. If we see a good connection, possible connection with you, you are also invited. And we have more than 34 countries where our customers have come from, and also Maxi's testimonial on the right, where he was super happy to find us and where we advised him in his complex holding company. Nice
Thanks.
meeting you.
Yeah, and fun fact, Silva Hunt, one of the co-founders, is an e-resident himself, right?
Yes.
So you already know from the very beginning what you're doing for e-resident customers.
Definitely, and if I'm not wrong, also the president of Erika currently.
Yes, exactly. All right, so let's get on with the content. So I'm just going to go quickly through the agenda. The webinar will be in 3 parts. The first part, we will talk about how to become an e-resident. I can see that there are a lot of you in the audience who already are, so we'll try and go through this bit fairly quickly. But just so in case that there are people who don't know much about the program and who would like to apply and find out more how to do that, we will go through that first. We'll then break and just to check whether there are any questions relevant to those topics. Then we'll come back and talk about starting a company in Estonia, cover the benefits, the basics, which service providers can help you, Silva Hunt being one of them, and what are the banking options as well. And finally, we'll do a short piece at the end, giving you a very broad overview of cross-border taxation, and answer some questions as much as we can with the information available we have to us. Just a couple of things before we get started. Only trust that our that e-residency channels that we mention, that Brigitte and I mentioned in this presentation, they are the only official e-residency channels. So if you get invited to WhatsApp groups or other Telegram groups or anything else that are not directly affiliated with e-Residency, please know that they do exist and they are not official channels. Okay, so let's get started. And I think, Brigitte, you're going to take it away.
Yes, exactly. So let's kick it off with the first part. What is and what is not e-Residency? So first of all, e-Residency is a digital identity that provides you access to the Estonian e-services. And with it, you can also give a secure digital signature, which is at the highest security level by the EU standards. So, and of course, with e-Residency, you will have the ability to start a company 100% online from anywhere. And also you can join a global community of like-minded entrepreneurs worldwide. But what is it not? So e-Residency is not a valid form of physical identification, and it cannot be used as a travel document. It also doesn't confer citizenship, visa, physical residency, or the right of entry to Estonia or EU in general. It's also not a tax residency. And also it doesn't, e-Residency status alone doesn't grant you or guarantee access to banking services, whether it's business or personal. But about taxes and banking, we will talk about more a bit later. So who can apply to become an e-resident in the first place? So first off, e-Residency is only granted to individuals and is particularly well suited for many freelancers, consultants, digital nomads, and other digital entrepreneurs interested in establishing a digital company, and what they can manage remotely in that sense. And Estonia invites people to apply for e-Residency if you have a substantial interest in using e-services and starting a company in Estonia, and also have a clear understanding of why you are applying. And for quite obvious reasons, e-Residency is not open for Estonian citizens or residents of Estonia because they already have the same digital ID. But I think we don't have many people like that here today. And also e-Residency new applications are restricted currently for applicants from Russia and Belarus. But let's talk about the benefits a bit. Why should you become an e-resident in the first place? So most people choose to apply for e-Residency in order to establish and also manage an EU-based company 100% online from anywhere in the world. An e-resident of Estonia also holds the fastest company incorporation world record, by the way, which is 15 minutes and 33 seconds. So that's pretty cool in my mind.
And he did it on stage
yes.
at a conference too, so very impressive.
About 2 years ago. Also, if you become an e-resident, you can also digitally sign documents, like I already mentioned, to the highest EIS standards. And it's also legally equivalent and as strong as handwritten signatures. You can also run your business remotely and location independently with 24/7 access to the secure Estonian e-services. So you can basically travel and live the life you want, you choose. But I think one of the coolest things about e-Residency, you also join a super cool community of over 110,000 like-minded people with over 30,000 companies from all around the world, from 170 plus countries. And yeah, if you want to already connect with some of the e-residents in our community, we also have a Facebook group, an official e-Residency Facebook group, and we have a subreddit channel where you can ask different questions if you have more after today. But what does the application timeline look for you if you start applying for e-Residency? So first of all, you apply online through the Estonian Police and Border Guard Board page, within which you also choose your pickup location. And the application state fee varies from 100 to 120 euros, depending on the pickup location you choose. Next up is the waiting period for the Police and Border Guard Board to do an identity check. And if you're granted e-Residency, they will send the card to the chosen pickup location that you put in your application. Why you have to choose a pickup location and collect the card in person comes in the next step. So due to the fact that you have to give fingerprints and verify yourself with your photo ID in person, you will have to go physically to a pickup location and do a one-time face-to-face meeting with a government representative. And after this, the card activates within 24 hours, usually even less. And then you're all set to start your business and start signing documents securely. And this whole process, on average, takes about 3 to 8 weeks, depending on the pickup location you choose. And on the next slide, you can see all the pickup locations we currently have on this little map here. So most of the locations are Estonian embassies, which are mostly located in Europe. But we also have mobile pickup points that issue e-residency cards periodically on certain dates. For example, we have ones in Milan, Munich, Frankfurt, Barcelona, Zurich, and some other cities. We're constantly developing the card collection process and adding new pickup locations all the time. So currently we have 40 plus locations worldwide, but keep in mind that if you choose a location in another country, traveling is required and you may need to apply for right of entry to that country. But all the information about pickup locations is available on our website as well. So if you go to our website and see the little section how it works, you can see all the different pickup locations there as well.
Thanks, Brigitta.
Yes, and now it's time for our first pause for Q&A. But while Hannah takes a look at the Q&A, here's a little fun fact that Hannah has dropped in the live Q&A section. Did you know that Estonia has, and I love this number, 2,222 islands? I think that's a really fun little Easter egg that we have here in Estonia.
And Latvia has how many? 0. Okay. So there are people asking about the procedure to establish the company and paying the fees. Don't worry, we're going to cover this in the next part of the Q&A. So we'll give you the answers to that in great detail. And then I can see that most of the other questions are very much related to company formation, banking, and taxes. And we are going to cover all these topics in the coming sections. So I think probably what we can do is we can move on. But I just want to say one thing. I've noticed that a lot of people are putting their questions in the chat. Can you please move your questions into the Q&A, because we're only looking in the Q&A and answering questions there. The chat is purely for networking with your fellow entrepreneurs in the webinar. Thank you. Someone's asked, I can just see one that's come in very quickly. Someone's asked, how can I change the pickup location? So you just need to contact where you originally picked it up, and they will organize it. You will need to pay a fee. So if it's a change, if it's a change of pickup location across different embassies, there will be a price that you'll need to pay, because it needs to be sent by post between them. And Rodney, yes, there is currently only one pickup location in Africa. There are, as you saw from the map, quite a few gaps that we have. Estonia is a very small country, which means it doesn't have so many political representations, embassies around the world. This is why Brigitta was saying we are trying to work on having more of these mobile pickup locations around the world. So we are working on it. That's what I can say.
Can I add something about the last part?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to add that Brigitta mentioned that over 110,000 e-residents. I want to emphasize that this is a really great way to take part of an community that is entrepreneurial, because those people who have applied for e-residency usually are entrepreneurial. Not everybody goes that far, and this is something that you can take into account, and there's also communities through e-residency program, of course, through Erika that was mentioned before, and so on. So it's not just way to do business, but grow your business, I believe.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, and so we're going to move on to the second one, but I'm just going to answer one more thing. There is going to be a recording of the webinar. We are currently live streaming on YouTube, and so the recording will save on YouTube. So you can find our e-Residency YouTube channel, and you'll see this go live immediately. Okay, so let's move to the second part of the webinar. Firstly, I want to answer the question, why do business in Estonia? And I can see that a few people are saying, like, why Estonia, not Hong Kong, or why Estonia, not the UK? And I will have a slide in a couple of slides where I look at some of the different business jurisdictions and compare them. So from our perspective, as a government startup, as we like to think of ourselves in the e-Residency team, we believe that e-Residency is the place where entrepreneurs go to do business 100% digitally and from anywhere in the world. What does this mean? So these are some of the value propositions that e-Residency and Estonia bring if you are an entrepreneur looking to start your company. The first one, probably the most obvious, is ease of doing business, and in particular, ease of doing business completely digitally, as we've mentioned a few times already. The second is around security, safety, and therefore trustworthiness of business environment. In Estonia, the digital infrastructure that has developed over the last 3 decades is extremely secure and has a blockchain-like security element built in. So whenever you use your digital ID card, you can't just use it on its own. You will always need your PIN codes to do any transactions. You will be able to see if anyone looks at your data, for example, because every single transaction that is done within the Estonian environment is timestamped. So in that sense, you can have full transparency of what is being done with your data and how your company and how your personal ID, your digital ID, is being used and looked at by anyone in Estonia. The third is opportunity. So here, what we're talking about are a few different things. Firstly, there's the opportunity to enter the EU market if you are coming from outside. So having a legal entity in the European single market is a huge boon if you're, say, an entrepreneur in Turkey or Ukraine or somewhere else outside of Europe. Another one is there are great startup potential, funding opportunities. Investors have a lot of faith in Estonian startups and businesses and the ecosystem here. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in a few slides' time. And the third one, which Kaspar did mention early on, is a very competitive tax system. And I am also going to talk about taxes a little bit later in the third part. And there are complexities around this, but there are ways that you can take advantage of Estonia's very competitive tax system. And finally, community. We've mentioned this a few times, so I don't want to bang on about it, but it is one of our value propositions for e-Residency, and it's something that we work very hard to facilitate as well. So I promised that I would show you some comparison data. And also, this is always the time when I say, yes, you will get a copy of these slides as well. So don't worry too much about like writing things down and reading everything here. Tomorrow you'll get a link to our website, and from there you can download these slides. So don't worry. The first thing I want to mention is the time to register a business. Brigitte mentioned before that an e-resident broke the record in 15 minutes and 33 seconds to register a company. Typically, we see the average time it takes to actually register the company is 2 hours. That's the official number from our information system colleagues over at the e-business register. You can see that compared to some other countries, it's much quicker. From what I understand, in UK, it can be less than 24 hours as well. So I would say that UK is probably the closest. But for the rest of the countries, it can take much longer. And the other thing that e-Residency and Estonia have over a lot of these other countries is that there's no director or like special representative with liability for your company that's necessary in Estonia if you're an e-resident. Whereas if you are a foreigner trying to start a company in, say, Ireland, for example, you must have at least one director who is an European Economic Area resident. In Delaware, you need a registered agent, same with in Portugal, or you need some special visa to start a company there as a foreigner. which is the same in Singapore. The e-services, here, I think the only competitors really to Estonia are the UK and Singapore. In those other countries I've put up here, there is limited digital services, and they don't have ID cards as well. And finally, the hours to file tax returns. So this is an average of companies surveyed in Estonia and other countries, and it's an estimate. So for some companies it might take longer, and for some it might take even less time, but Estonia clearly has the least amount of hours to file taxes. Okay, so here I'm just going to very briefly talk about the life cycle. So this is how we think of e-residence and your journey into starting a business in Estonia. So the first thing you will need to do is, once you have your e-residency card, you can log into the e-business register. Or if you use a service provider who has their own API for company formation, they will do that for you. To register your company, we always recommend, especially if you're quite new to business, to get the help of a service provider, someone like Silver Hunt. And at this point is a good point as well to make sure that you can get access to business banking and payment providers. Once you have your company registered, this is where you're at the management stage of running your company. So you can use your digital ID to sign documents, contracts, for example, with partners. You can file reports like online. So these are reports, I mean annual reports. There's one a year for your company. If you declare taxes in Estonia, for example, payroll taxes or VAT or other things, you can do that online with your digital ID as well. You probably want to start thinking about tax advice at this stage. So we have, in the next slide I'm going to show you, we have a marketplace of service providers, and here you will find people to help you with all your tax questions. And finally, grow your company. So I'm also going to show you in a couple of slides time what we've built on our website in terms of funding opportunities and entrepreneurship program opportunities. If you want to talk about, if you want to think about hiring employees in Estonia or elsewhere, we also have a huge range of service providers and resources that can help you think about those things. And again, we're back to the community, but networking with e-resident founders, with our official envoys and community leaders, and coming to our community events or business meetups or service provider meetups like the mastermind that Kasper mentioned before. These are all really good ways to help you grow your business, whether it's growing through expanding your team or growing through scaling or whatever it is. So I mentioned the marketplace, and actually we've recently updated the marketplace. So we launched at the end of May a brand new version of the marketplace that was based on user feedback and validated by numerous rounds of testing with both e-residents, that we've known for a long time, and also new customers as well. So definitely go check out the marketplace, which is on our website, which is a business directory of service providers that can help you with everything from accounting to taxes to marketing to recruitment to banking help, everything. So that's probably the best place to start if you have your card and you're looking to start your company now. So just be aware that there is one service that is mandatory if your company has a foreign board address, and that is the local contact person. This is someone who has to be licensed or be from a certain profession, and they act as sort of a messenger and a mailbox for your company. They don't have any director's liability or duties or anything like that, but they are the contact person who the regulators in Estonia can talk to if they're looking for your company in here. Okay, and I mentioned that on our website, we've recently added a portal of funding programs and entrepreneurship programs. So at the moment, there's 66 programs, and these include grants, so government grants, investment opportunity, private investment, VC opportunities, accelerators, and mentorship programs as well. In Estonia, it's the most comprehensive English collection of these types of opportunities so far in Estonia, and e-residents are welcome to all of them. And we do have partnerships with a lot of these programs, so we know them and we know that they have taken e-resident startups already. You can find on the screen there a link to the portal. And I wanted here to bring in Kati, because I know, Kati, you've worked with a lot of businesses on these aspects, and I wondered whether you could share a little bit more about opportunities that are available to startups in Estonia.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. As I already mentioned, as a corporate lawyer, I advise companies on business matter, and actually recent years, I mostly advised startups, so very young companies who want to build their business and actually find financing in Estonia. And we do actually have so many different places where you can apply for grants, receive funds, accelerators. So in that sense, Estonia is an amazing place where you could start doing your business and actually start scaling your business up in order to enter to new markets. And as a lecturer at Estonian Business School, this is something that I also deal with. I advise and teach students on business plan, business models, etc. And this is something that Silvahunt actually also has included to its activities. So this is definitely something that we can give more advice to young companies who want to do their business in Estonia and who actually need some additional financing for their programs.
Thank you. And in a few slides' time, there will be an opportunity for you to see Silvahunt, to get a special link to Silvahunt's free consultancy call. So stick around.
I'll go nowhere.
Okay, I wanted to just cover a few sort of more practical topics around company formation. So the first is on the type of company that you might want to start. The vast majority of e-residents and also of Estonians as well is start a private limited company known as a OÜ or a
OÜ.
Or a, what's the real name?
Osaühing.
That one. Not an Estonian. So the vast majority of all entrepreneurs in Estonia, whether you're a resident, a citizen, or an e-resident, start an OÜ. And it's the most popular business form. It limits shareholder liability, just like an LLC or a private limited company in the countries. It has a simple online registration process, and it's suitable for solopreneurs, so one-person companies. It's suitable for micro enterprises, for startups, and also as you get bigger as well. Small, medium, even large companies have an OÜ as well. The share capital starts from 1 centime per shareholder, which is very low. And here are some other company types in Estonia. Public companies, partnerships, commercial or non-profit associations, sole traders, and branch options if you are a foreign company wanting to set up a branch here in Estonia. On the not-for-profit associations, because we do sometimes get questions on this, I just wanted to let you all know that there's a really great article on our blog about MTUs, or not-for-profits, that you can have a look at. So if you search non-profit e-residency, you'll probably find that article, and that gives you some background information about that type of organization. So let's talk a little bit about the costs. Brigitte already mentioned that the state fee to apply for e-residency is 100 or 120 euros, depending on where you pick up your card. To start a OÜ, or a private limited company, it costs 265 euros. This is a one-off fee, so you won't pay an annual fee to have this company, and once you have set it up, you don't pay it again. So you don't need to renew your company in that sense. The contact person fee service that I mentioned in a few slides ago, you can generally find this service as a one-off between 200 and 400 per year. But I would say that the best thing to do to get this service is to look for packages, because a lot of service providers offer different levels of packages at different fees for different types of companies that will include this service. So for example, if you also want to get an accounting service, there are service providers offering very light packages that include a little bit of accounting and the contact person fee starting from 50 euros per month. So just adding up only these fees, the total for if you do it yourself, i.e. you only get a contact person, is about 565 in the first year. But if you get some accounting support, that starts from about 1,265. And of course, remember when you're making your budget, when to start a company, that you will also have many other fees to think about. So for example, business banking setup and transaction fees, license fees if your business needs a license, travel fees if you need to travel to pick up your e-Residency card, yeah, the list goes on, obviously, after that. Speaking of business banking, let's talk about the options. There are 3 options for e-residence, and the main and best option that I want to talk about first is actually the one in the middle in green, which are fintechs or online banks or neobanks. And these allow you to open a business banking account online for your company. There's a really big choice of these, and we have many of them on our marketplace. And in the next slide, I'll show you some of them. The only disadvantage here, I would say, is that fintechs are not quite at the stage of offering business loans. Although this is changing, I've seen that some, like Revolut, for example, are now getting more into this credit field, because they're actually getting banking licenses that enable them to, credit licenses to enable them to give that. But generally speaking, most of the fintechs won't be able to offer you that if that's what you're looking for. The second option is the one on the far right, which is the other EEA banks. So this option is really good if you're already located in the European Economic Area and you have a good client relationship with your existing bank, be it for your own business in the country where you live, or even personal banking relationship. You can approach them and ask them whether they would be willing to set up a business account for your Estonian company. And generally, we've seen that this is actually a viable option. And you know, the banking survey we did a couple of years ago, nearly 20% of e-residents said that they had used this option. So it is possible. The third option, and it's the first one on the slide, but the reason I'm talking about it last is because it is the most difficult to get, especially if you're in the first, you know, early years of your company. And the reason is because you will need to make at least one personal visit to Estonia to authenticate your identity to start the account. And the other thing you will need to prove is that your company has a strong connection to Estonia. And by strong connection, we really mean here that at least 50% of suppliers, clients, presence is in Estonia for that business. That's quite a difficult thing to prove if you have most of your work is done outside. And on this slide, you can see some of the, actually most of the banks and fintechs we have on the marketplace. So the first 2 columns here are for the Estonian banks, the LHV and Co-op, and the rest are all fintechs. And here, and just before I turn to Kaspar on this topic, I just wanted to also point out that the marketplace also contains several fintechs and other organizations who can help with payment gateways. So if you are an e-commerce business who either needs a merchant banking or merchant payment gateway on your website, or you're looking for, say, a Stripe option, you can also find those on our marketplace as well. But Kaspar, you said before you have some news that you'd like to share about the business banking topic.
Oh yes, thank you, Hannah. So the news is I'm really happy about it. So we started a cooperation with the LHV. So we are on their website alongside with 2 other service providers, and through this partnership, in addition to being on the website and having this trusted certification in a sense, because LHV is well known and biggest Estonian based bank with really open mindset, with the growth mindset in their head. So what is the benefit for our customers? The benefit is that if you want to open a bank account with LHV, then you can get ahead of the queue, kind of through a specified email where we send all the necessary documents. And if you are accepted, then you pay the the fee of the processing fee, but if you're not accepted, then you don't. So this is one thing, but also this kind of trusted gateway to the bank directly. So I'm very happy for the partnership that we started a few months ago.
And on this slide, you will find a QR code, which will take you to the option of signing up for a consultancy call with Silverhunt. So if this is something interesting for you, I'll leave this up for a minute. And also, I've seen in the Q&A already that someone wants to know a little bit more about the contact person service and what that entails. So maybe Kasper and Kati, you can already start talking about that while we have this slide up.
Maybe I will start with this. When you are looking for a contact person, make certain that this company actually has the necessary license, because in Estonia, when the companies are offering these kind of services, they need to have the license. If they don't have the license, then I would say this is definitely a red flag, and you should not do business with companies who do not have this kind of licenses, because this is something that confirms to the businesses, to you, the customers, that this company has the license. They actually are in accordance with the laws and regulations, that they actually know what they're doing. So they are the professionals in that field.
And Silverhunt renewed our license. So this is a big point because anti-money laundry office is really looking into the sector to make sure everything is okay. And since we were renewing our information, then we were lucky enough to speak with them directly and renew it. Everything went well. So as mentioned before, Kati is a real professional coming from the crypto sector before that, and actually renewing the crypto license with another company prior to Silverhunt. So it was no problem at all. But it also shows that everything is done correctly here in Silverhunt and might be useful for you. Do you want to add something about that?
Yes, maybe only this. Yes, we just went through this license renewal because they have appointed me as a compliance manager in the company to make certain that everything is accordance with laws and regulations. And I really just wanted to maybe say that we have a really nice relationship with Estonian authority, and this the communication with the authority from the service provider side is so important. And you need to make certain when you are choosing your service provider to make certain that you have a really good cooperation with your service provider and they actually are professionals and that they have the license.
And Kati, just back on the contact person, so there's a question specific to that. What is a foreign board address? Maybe you can just...
Wasn't that the commercial minutes right there? But okay. Back to that, it's the service providers are doing differently. In Silverhunt, we are offering a kind of one-stop shop or like full package. So there are monthly packages. Inside there are the contact person or contact address. By Estonian law, you don't need both. You need one only. So we're mostly offering the contact address currently. And in addition, you mentioned that there are additional costs to running a business in addition to the monthly packages usually. Then from Silverhunt point of view, there are not, besides if you have a bigger business, really more transactions, then that adds on top. But otherwise, all the contact person or address, annual reports, all the declarations are inside it. And as mentioned also before, then Estonia is a little bit different compared to other countries that are usually compared to Estonia, that there isn't like a nominee director that you need. So this is like really one of the really transparent and honest. Honest is not the word that I will use, but transparent and very straightforward way of doing business without having nominee directors in Estonia in your company.
And Kati, you sort of talked about licensing a bit, but we have had a few people just asking generally about what industries, what sectors need a license. And my understanding in Estonia is it's very few. It's sort of the usual suspects. So financial services, construction, some education services, some tourism services. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that and and sort of give a little bit peace of mind, because I think people are getting a bit worried about it, because I know in some countries there's a lot of heavy licensing regulation.
Yes, first of all, I would like to say that it really depends on the business that you are planning to do. There are activities that do not require any license, any notification. You can basically establish your business and immediately start doing it. Then the second option is that you may have to notify the authority that you would want to do this kind of business, and you state the date from which you want to start this business. And then the third one is the licensing. So if you are doing something that is related to cryptocurrencies, health services, educational services, then most probably you will need this kind of license. But again, this depends what is the exact activity that you're planning to do. So this is this, I would say, is actually a very broad question that we would need to go into detail and discuss this separately. But yes, there are some activities that would require a license, but we do also offer this kind of service that we can discuss what are these activities that actually require licensing. And from our side, from Silva Hunt side, we can provide assistance to this as well.
Thank you. And someone is also, I've sort of automatically gone to the Q&A, so I hope that's okay. There's another question about registering trademarks. So intellectual property question. Is this something that, Kari, you can talk about a little bit?
Yes, definitely. We also advise on intellectual property, trademarks, patents, copyright questions. So first of all, really good question. And as a lawyer, this is something that I've noticed a lot of companies do not think about this. But when you're registering your business name actually is one of the trademarks as well. And in Estonia, it is a very good system that when you have registered your business, no one else can use the same name that your company has. So the commercial register automatically checks the Estonian database and actually the European database to make certain that there is no infringement of someone's intellectual property. But when you do have other trademarks, for example, logos, slogans, whether they are just a name trademark or design solution, this is definitely what I, as a lawyer, I would definitely advise to register. Because if you do not protect your intellectual property, then someone could come, take this same name, same trademark, the logos, and register themselves beforehand. And in that case, you unfortunately have a litigation case, which I would definitely suggest to avoid. So be aware of your intellectual property. What are the different types? And what you need to do in order to protect your intellectual property, that someone else will not take advantage of what you have created. Because in companies, business, and when we talk about entrepreneurship, your trademarks, your logos, slogans, the company name, this is what identifies you. This is something that your competitors or this is something that customers recognize and make differentiation between you and your competitor. So you definitely want to protect your intellectual property.
Okay, thank you. So we had a few follow-up questions to the licensing. So education is one where someone asked about EdTech, e-learning services. This might, Kari, maybe you can talk a bit more about it, but my impression is that it might need a notice of economic activity, but it's unlikely that it will need a license if it's online learning.
Yes, no license as such, registration. But from the other side, if we're talking about teaching, then you have to comply with education regulation that the person who is giving the advice actually is professional in that field. So we have a requirement from that side that the person actually has the necessary education to teach others. So this is definitely something that you have to keep in mind. But happy to discuss later.
Yeah, and there was also a question about whether there is a list of licensed activities, and maybe my colleague Katrina can share that link, because it's probably easiest for her to find it and share that either in the chat or in the Q&A. Okay.
This is actually something that when you are establishing your company, commercial register also asks what is the business activity that you want to register. And actually, when you're registering the company, there is a specific database where you have to find this 3 to 5 digit code to state what is your business activity. And actually, from this database, it's clear as well if your business activity would require a license or notification as well.
Yeah, and we usually say to people, don't stress too much if you get it wrong in the first year, because when you do your annual report, you'll have another opportunity to change it to make sure it's the closest to the services you provide.
Exactly. So you don't have to worry about changing your business activity, or if you want to do multiple business activities, different types, sales, advisor, etc., then you don't have to worry. You can add these later when you're submitting your annual report.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to mention that, so I'm glad that you said that as well. We've sort of done quite a lot of Q&A on the business formation topic, and I'm conscious that we have about 12 minutes left. We might go a little bit over the hour if people can stick around, but let's talk a little bit about taxes and then answer some questions from people on taxes. So to start with, I just want to be really transparent and clear that cross-border taxes are very complicated, and not just for e-residents. This is for anyone who's doing business across borders, who might live in one country, have a company in another country, have clients in another country, and employees in another country. So regardless of whether that company is in Estonia or in Delaware or anywhere else, this will be a complicated topic, and we definitely recommend that you get advice on your specific situation, because every single situation will be different depending on all the different circumstances that are ongoing. So what I'm going to give now is an overview of the types of taxes to be aware of, so that you can ask sort of the right questions on each of these in your own specific circumstances to an accountant or an advisor or a lawyer, like Kati, for example. And then I'll also tell you a little bit about permanent establishment, sort of the elephant in the room in international taxation, and finally some of the benefits and the reason why Estonia is the most competitive tax environment in the world. So let's go on. So the first type of tax to be aware of is your own personal tax. And e-residency will not affect your personal tax, because if you are continuing to live in the country where you're from, whether you're a resident or a citizen, your personal tax residency will be wherever you are. Things get a little bit more complicated if you're a digital nomad. A couple of things here. It's really difficult to prove that you aren't a tax resident anywhere. It's you have to be very up with your paperwork with various tax advisors. And we also recommend that you should have a tax residency somewhere, because in the future, if you want to get a home loan or a business loan or anything, and you go to the bank and they say, where are your tax returns for the last 5 years? And you say, well, I wasn't a tax resident anywhere. You might run into some problems, because they like to see a tax history. Secondly, corporate income tax. So in general, this is a very broad general thing. Your corporate income tax, your company tax, will be declared where your company is registered and or has permanent establishment. The third type of taxes to be aware of, social taxes. In some countries, these are, unemployment taxes, labor taxes, superannuation, pensions, all of these types of things rolled up here into social taxes, also payroll as well. And generally speaking, social taxes will be declared where your employees are located or registered. Finally, VAT, value-added taxes, also called sales taxes, also called GST or goods and service tax in some countries. Here I'm talking specifically about the EU version of VAT. The EU in recent years has tried to streamline VAT across the different countries, because it's still the case especially for large budget items, that you do, if you have a company that's operating in different EU countries, you need to do your VAT separately in each one. But they have tried to streamline it with a couple of different schemes called the One-Stop Shop and Import One-Stop Shop schemes. And these try to streamline it in a way that online sellers can declare VAT in the EU country where they're VAT registered. So I'll talk a little bit about how you would do this in Estonia, but just be aware that the VAT rate in Estonia, it will only be relevant to your company if you are selling direct to consumers in Estonia. If you're selling to consumers in other European countries, you would need to check the VAT rate in those countries where you're selling. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where e-residents might pay company taxes. This is always the question, where will I pay my taxes? Do I pay my taxes in Estonia? Do I pay my company taxes in the country where I live? The first thing to note is that when your Estonian company is registered, it will automatically be registered also as an Estonian tax resident by EMTA, or the Estonian Tax and Customs Board. But one thing that you need to be aware of is that if your company has most of its activities take place in another country, it will have a permanent establishment there, and the tax board in that other country may say that your company is liable for taxes there as well. And also be aware that, as Brigitte mentioned right at the beginning of this webinar, e-residency is not tax residency. So, and Estonia is not a tax haven for your company. So it will not dissolve you of any liability that you have in foreign countries that your company has as well. And the last thing to mention is that Estonia does have many travel tax treaties signed. Most of the European, I think all the European countries, US, Canada, UAE, several Asian countries as well. Estonia has double tax treaties, so you won't be double taxed. And in general, for your company, your dividends may be exempted in full if it's found that actually your company should be paying taxes in that other country. So you shouldn't be double taxed. I'll say it again, but please contact a local tax consultant for professional advice. And when I say local, I mean one that actually knows your own domestic tax laws in the country where you live, and probably one as well in Estonia where you can work together to find the optimum tax structure for your business. Okay, so now the good news, Estonia being the most competitive tax code for 10 years. Why is this? Well, it has minimal tax regulation and relatively low rates. Not the lowest in the world, but relatively low compared to a lot of countries, particularly some of the more traditional EU countries. It has no annual corporate income tax. What does this mean? It means that when you reinvest profits, when your company reinvests profits into itself, you don't pay tax on those reinvested profits. You only start paying corporate tax once you distribute those profits, say in the form of dividends. At the moment, the corporate rate is 20%. But this is going up next year to 22%, just so you're aware. VAT, as I mentioned, the rate here of 22% is only for supplies to consumers in Estonia. It's mandatory to register your company for VAT in Estonia if your turnover is over 40,000 euros per year. And as I mentioned before, the EU has started to streamline VAT. So those one-stop shop and import one-stop shop regimes may be really helpful for you if you fall within them. But talk to a VAT and tax specialist about that. In Estonia, taxes can be declared and paid online. And this last one sounds like a little bit of a marketing sales pitch, but actually it's probably the truest statement of all. The Estonian Tax and Customs Board is extremely friendly and extremely business friendly as well. They will help you as much as they can to find a solution when it comes to taxes. They have actually a direct email for foreign entrepreneurs and for people who are not resident in Estonia but paying taxes here. So you can look that up on their website. But I encourage you to talk to them about the Estonian tax system if you have questions, because they are super helpful and super nice, and they are very responsive as well. So you may be wondering why I said 2 slides ago, well, you may not actually pay taxes in Estonia, and then I gave you all the nice benefits. So how could you structure your business to take advantage of Estonia's competitive tax system? And there are things that you can do or you can have in existence to help you with this, and it all relates to having substance in Estonia. It's sort of similar to what I was talking about with banking, having this connection, making sure that you have, for example, physical substance in Estonia, like renting an office or hiring employees, holding board meetings regularly, and so spending time in Estonia and having clients or employees or business partners here. Registering assets, we talked about intellectual property briefly, but that could also involve physical assets as well. Relocating, we do see e-residents often come to and live in Estonia at least for a couple of years while they're growing their business, particularly in the startup scene. I actually posted a blog post today about a couple of Turkish e-residents who a couple of years ago moved to Estonia, and they're building their AI startup here in Tallinn. And finally, becoming a digital nomad. This is not necessarily the choice for everyone, but if you're considering it, having a company in Estonia might be a really nice way to run your business while you're on the road, because you reduce the risk of these permanent establishment issues. And having the company here paying corporate tax is a nice, easy way to do business while you're traveling. You can see here a link to our website. As I mentioned earlier, you will get a copy of these slides, so you can go directly there tomorrow once you've downloaded them. But that's basically it for the slides. I think we can go maybe 5 or 10 minutes over the hour. So let's answer some questions about taxes. Kasper and Kati, have you seen any there that you'd like to start with?
I haven't seen anything yet, but I do have 2 thoughts that I would like to share briefly. I understand we are over the time. One of the things is that I want to emphasize that our accountants declare the employee taxes and the VAT taxes on your behalf if you are our customer. So this is just something I have encountered. They're asking, potential customers are asking if they are declared or not. This is inside what we do. Also, the OSS is done by that accountant. The other thing that I wanted to mention is while they are doing it, they're doing it in the tax and customs system, and by dedicated accountant in Silva Hunt wise, it means that there is one accountant and Silva Hunt who have the access to it. There's not like 10 accountants. You don't know who does what with your taxes or declarations, just to put it out there. Yeah.
We have a question about income tax on salaries. Is this maybe, because I haven't really covered the taxes on income on salaries. Kati, is this something that maybe you could give a broad overview about?
So employment taxes in general, when we speak that you have Estonian company and the employees are actually working in Estonia. So we have the income tax, which is currently 20%, which will be raised from next year as well to 22%. We have the social tax, which is 33%. Besides this, we have unemployment insurance. So if it happens that your employees will leave the company or there will be a redundancy whatsoever, in that case, there will be state benefits because taxes on behalf of this employee have been paid. So I didn't see the question, so it was just general overview about taxes. If you have any specific question, then I can answer this as well.
Yeah, they were saying, hypothetically, if I wanted to pay my employee 1,000 euros per month, what goes to taxes?
Okay. Usually when employers speak about salary, this 1,000, I would consider that as gross amount, which means that taxes would be taken off. This is something that actually, as a lawyer, I feel that there should be communication between the company and employee. In my professional career, there has been this mix-ups that when employer says that your salary is 1,000 euros, employer thinks that this is gross amount, that taxes will be taken off, but employee thinks that, oh, this is the net amount, this is the amount that I actually receive. So this is something that always should be clarified. But when the gross salary is 1,000 euros, there is this employer's part as well that has to be paid. So this is in addition. So can't tell it by heart what is the exact amount that a company would have to pay, but I would assume it's around 1,200 something euros, the total amount for the company. So we always have to think, what is the total amount for the company, what is the gross amount, and what is actually the net amount that employee will receive after taxes.
If it's 1,000 gross, then 20% of that is the income tax that the employee will pay, and on top of that will be the social tax and the unemployment tax and so on. So yeah.
If you know the systems in Germany or Switzerland, for example, it's very similar. Estonia's social tax system is very similar.
But I would add to here that this applies when your employees are actually located in Estonia. But if you have employees who are not located in Estonia and they actually spend more than 183 days outside Estonia, then this is something that you should discuss with your tax consultants, because it is possible that you would have to declare the employees in that other country that where the employee actually is located. So this is something that should be discussed with a tax specialist.
Yeah, and on that note, we do have in our marketplace some service providers who can support remote employment. So if you have a distributed team, or if you want to have a distributed team around the world, you can check out a company like Deal, for example, DEEL. They can help with these types of salary and payroll registration in different countries around the world, issues that you might have. And actually, on the same topic, someone was asking about contractors. So I think it was specifically in the UK. I've lost the question now.
As long as you're searching for it, I would like to add that this employee topic is very relevant, because this is also one way to create substance, right, as you put on your slide. So you might want to look into employing somebody in Estonia to really do activities here to build this substance. So you are more inclined to paying taxes in Estonia than somewhere else.
So there was actually, it was a question about what are the tax implications for paying contractors rather than employees.
Okay, so when you are using a contractor, this is cooperation agreement, and I would say this depends on if that contractor is from Estonia or is it from other EU country. So in Estonia, this is a usual business transaction between cooperation partners. You would need to have a partnership agreement or cooperation agreement or service agreement between this entity. And here it's important to keep in mind that it should be entity who is the cooperation partner, because if you are hiring a natural person with a service agreement, you would still have to pay taxes on that person, the social tax, income tax. So in that sense, make a differentiation whether your cooperation partner is an individual person, natural person, or is it a company that you are using, for example, to outsource some services.
And there's just been, I think there's been a little confusion on the salary questions about the 33% and the 20%. So if just say you have this hypothetical monthly salary of 1,000, your employee will pay tax of 20%. So that will come from the 1,000 after some unemployment contributions have been taken out. But your company will need to pay the social taxes on top of that into the social fund in Estonia. So that's what the 33% is. But again, this is only for Estonian tax resident employees. Not if you're thinking about another country, it will be the laws of that country where your employee is registered. Okay, so we are past time. I know that there are still quite a lot of questions that haven't been answered, but we can tell you how to follow up with those. Firstly, you'll get a link to a survey, and we'd really like it if you responded and gave us some feedback on this session. So that would be really great. If you feel like you have more questions or you didn't get answers to your questions, Brigitte mentioned our Reddit subreddit and also our Facebook group. These are great places to go and ask questions. We also have a dedicated support email. The best way to find or the best way to contact our support is directly from our website. You'll see the link in the bottom of our in the navigation pane right at the bottom to contact support. And if you're ready, apply. Or as I've seen quite a few people asking, renew or start a company if you're at that stage. And Brigitte, did you want to say a few last things about where people can find us in social channels?
Yes, so basically you can find us anywhere and everywhere. So if you just go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, just e-Residency or e-Residence, and you will find us. And we have lots of great information, both educational, both fun. We have blog posts, we have videos, we have all sorts of things. So if you need anything, go there and you can DM us and we'll answer you gladly as well.
And this QR code will take you to our special post-webinar landing page where you can download the slides and you can find recordings of past webinars. So thank you very much for joining us. And Kasper and Kari, how are you feeling after this fast and furious webinar?
Let's do it again soon.
Yes, I have time until 5 o'clock. Let's continue. But honestly, thank you.
Thank you so much
enjoyed
from my
it.
side as well.
And I want to say welcome to Estonia.
Yes, welcome to Estonia from wherever around the world. Thank you very much all. We hope to see you in the community soon. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.